All right, and for more, we're joined now by Texans cornerback Johnathan Joseph. Johnathan, thanks for joining us. First and foremost, man, how is your family? How are your loved ones doing?
Man, my loved ones are doing great. You know, they're at home. Unfortunately enough, you know, the city's been hit pretty hard right now, but, you know, my area didn't get hit too hard, you know, just other than just stuck in the house with rain, and a lot of the stores been closed around, so kind of limited on food and things like that.
What was going on from your perspective? How were you keeping in touch with everyone at home, and what was that like for you?
Just texting back and forth, trying to get an update, you know, pretty much throughout the whole day. And pretty much once the game started, the communication was kind of shut off. But we tried to make a decision. You know, my family actually went back and forth with me about driving to Dallas. And we kind of made a decision. They ended up staying back in Houston. So it was an unfortunate situation. But I think all in all, hopefully things will die down soon enough.
How have you been able to compartmentalize and focus on football during a time like this?
It's very hard because, you know, you like to be there for your family first and foremost, for your city, and try to help out any way you can possibly. But, you know, being here in Dallas and not being there to actually go out and help and physically be there and give your support, your emotional support and things like that, it's definitely hard. But at the end of the day, we're all professionals and we have a job to do, and part of our job is being here in Dallas at this moment.
Yeah, you're an established 12-year vet, 7th year with the Texans, so this 4th preseason game doesn't mean as much to you as it does to the 37 guys trying to make the final 53. How are, just in your observations, how are they able to handle this roster bubble while something so much bigger than football is going on, going into a game that can mean whether they make the team or not?
It's a tough situation because there's a lot of young guys and some experienced guys on that list as well that's going to actually have to go out there and fight for jobs tomorrow in that game. But I think at the end of the day, being a professional, you have to kind of block some of the outside things out because it's kind of unfair for those guys to where they have to, you know, care for their families, their loved ones that's back home, you know, whether it's their home, their apartments, their cars, personal things, but they have to still go out and compete for a job. So it's definitely a stressful situation, but I think us as veterans like myself and other guys on the team, we have to kind of keep those guys focused because they have to go out there and give it their all at the end of the day.
What were your thoughts on the decision to play the game anyway, even though it's been moved to Arlington?
My first initial reaction was, you know, if the game can be canceled, that'd be perfect. Just because in a situation like this, I think things kind of happen quickly. The way things are escalating, it's a possibility that it may be even more rain coming our way, I think. That would be one of the options that I would definitely lean toward and be in favor of. But, you know, at the end of the day, that's a decision that's made above my head.
Now, I assume you've probably been watching a lot of the coverage while being there in Dallas. What's kind of touched you the most about how people have responded to this tragedy?
It's just seeing some of the areas that you're familiar with, just being so deep underwater, just seeing some of the families being left without anything, hearing some of the tragic stories, people being drowning, people getting killed and things like that. Just the whole city's in an uproar right now, and it's a very touching moment just to be away from it and not be actually there to help out in no form or fashion. You definitely want to, you know, give your thanks and your support, but not being there kind of takes away from it also, in my opinion.
Have you thought about what you might feel or how you might feel once you do actually return to Houston?
Not at all, because, you know, just talking to my wife and just back and forth over the phone, it's one thing to see it on TV, but it's a totally different feel to be there and see it in person, experience it, going through different situations, whether it's losing power throughout the day or being there with shortage on food or just actually getting out in the community and helping out also.
So Coach Bill O'Brien said that the organization is dedicating the season to the city of Houston. What's that mean to you, and what would it mean to you guys to inspire that community with a successful season?
It means a lot to us. You know, I think our community, our city of Houston supports us to the 1,000%. Every game they're sold out, whether we're winning or losing. The crowd's always there and into it, and I think anytime you have the support like that, nothing we can do more than go back and give our all, you know, throughout the season and play and dedicate the season for them and give our support, you know, whether it's financially, emotionally, or however it is, just showing that we actually care for the city.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate you joining us. We know you got a lot on your mind. Thank you for taking the time, and our thoughts and prayers go out to your organization as well as the entire community.
No problem, man. Thank you guys for having me on.
All right, one other Harvey-related headline. The University of Houston's season-opening football game against UTSA has been postponed. The school announced earlier. The Cougars were scheduled to play the Roadrunners at 7 Eastern on Saturday at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. The Cougars' other fall sports events scheduled for this weekend in volleyball, soccer and cross country have also been canceled. The teams will explore the possibility of rescheduling the game at a later date. Talking about the football game, the Cougars have been staying and practicing in Austin since Saturday. I just want to add one other thing about Harvey before we take our first break. We often, lately especially, have talked about sports as an escape, sports as a change agent, but just looking at the millions and millions being donated, this is an example of sports as this great unifier. And if there's a silver lining to this disaster, this tragedy, and I would never trivialize the loss of life and both literal and lifestyle or livelihood that they're experiencing, but if there is a silver lining, it's just that this has brought this country together when it felt like we were never more divided. Like the timing of this is not necessarily accidental, is what I'm saying. There's been a lot of bipartisan BS at the top of the news stories and the news programs, and now this happens, and just to see the outpour, and I just want to applaud everybody who's dug into their pockets and given up their time, their attention, their platform to rush to the aid of the people of Houston.
Yeah, when you start hearing or reading about or watching some of the stories of the people who have been rescued, and it's touching. And while it's on some level, I don't know where to put it. The fact that we didn't need a natural disaster, but the fact that it took one to show this level of humanity and support, regardless of economic background, racial background, whatever it may be, that this was the triggering point.
The United States needed uniting.
Right,
Yeah.
in its own way is a commentary. I just hope when this is all done, okay, that we use this. We've used other momentum, more hateful things that have bled over into our society and caused a permanent stench. I hope that this becomes a real touching off point, so that it doesn't take this for us to show how we feel about one another and to be good neighbors.
Amen.